KLLers, how do you milk? Okay, this is a question that can really get people going. People love their milk and they love the reasons that they choose it. So I don't want to mess around with that too much. But let's just start talking a little bit about what's out there in the world of dairy and dairy alternatives. You can walk down any milk aisle now, and it's not just a matter of whole versus 1% versus 2% versus skim. Now we're in a whole new world of dairy alternatives. So we've got rice milk, we've got soy milk, we've got almond milk, we've got coconut milk, we've got quinoa milk and oat milk. There is every kind of milk you can ever imagine. Most of these things nobody knew had milk. So then they don't. And what's interesting is that when you take a grain like quinoa or oats and or rice and you try to make a milk out of it, so frequently, it's basically just water with some extra sugar added to it. This gets challenging. When we look at some of these dairy alternatives that have had sugar added to it, it might give you a total lower carbohydrate count than a dairy milk, which is attractive to some people, but it's mostly sugar, which is going to raise our blood sugar up the fastest. So be careful in choosing some of the milk alternatives. If you do, I encourage you to get an unsweetened version. If that's just not sweet enough for you, it just doesn't work for you at all, okay. Get the lightest sweetened version possible. Otherwise, you're really just ingesting a lot of sugar. Soy is different. Soy typically, from a protein standpoint, they're also very different. Okay, so all of your grain milks, I'll get to soy in a second, all of your grain milks, your rice, your quinoa, your oat milks, those types of things have no natural protein really in the milk, okay? Because the protein itself is in the grain and can't be really extracted for this. Soy is different. You're going to actually have some of the proteins get into the milk. So you can get a couple of grams of protein per cup of soy milk. Soy milk is not necessarily helpful for everyone. Anyone with a diagnosed hormone concern should not be consuming soy milk regularly. If you have it in moderation, it typically doesn't bother you. This is not true for everyone though. You want to be concerned about anyone with a hormonally related diagnosis. Okay, so this is mostly referencing women. The reason is because soy is estrogenic. I don't worry about most men consuming soy products unless it's more than maybe 2 servings a day. And I have had some men come up to me and tell me that they have 5 or 6 cups of soy milk a day. So just be aware that it's fine if you just drink it in moderation. Okay, so regular milk, where does that lead us? Well, we have an organic whole milk here, and that's not to say that that is ideal for everyone. There is a skim milk that has 15 grams of carbs, 7 grams of protein, and that is pretty much the same with skim 1%, 2%, and whole. The only difference is in the fat. Okay, so this fat, for example, I've got 8 grams of fat, which will then, in the skim go all the way to nothing. So the calories are higher in the whole, and the fat grams are higher. But is that the worst thing in the world? Very interesting is that when we centrifuge whole milk and we extract the protein from the fat, we find that there's actually different hormones in the proteins and in the fats. So if you're only consuming the skim milk, for example, that has just the protein but the fat's been removed, you're consuming an unequal or disproportionate amount of some hormones. If you're a big milk person, that can take an impact on you. All right, so we want to, I'm not suggesting necessarily that everybody move to whole milk because it's more hormonally balanced, because it's also really high in fat and calories. So is that going to be the wisest diet choice? Well, maybe, because people who do consume dairy might lose weight faster than those who don't. All right, now if you have already spoken with me, you know that I don't consume any dairy at all. And this is just based on where I am in my personal wellness journey. Dairy can be an inflammatory food. So wait a second. It can help with weight loss, but it's also possibly an inflammatory food, or it is an inflammatory food. It can offset or cause hormonal concerns. Yes to all. This really needs to be individualized to you. The way you milk is affected by your preferences, certainly your medical condition, relating to not just hormones, but any possible cholesterol or heart disease that might run in your family. So milk should be done strategically, okay? We don't want to say, all right, everybody is great with skim milk. They're not. We don't want to say everybody's great with soy milk. They're not. And certainly watch the sugar in the milk alternatives. But now that I've given you a little bit of food for thought, let's talk about it in more detail and try to find out what stage you are in so we can match you with the appropriate dairy choice if you choose to milk. Thanks.